Hi, everybody, and welcome to Assessment in English Education. I know there's been a flurry of emails and getting started correspondence. Typically, that happens during the first week of class. We'll fall into a routine. Once we have all these spaces defined, I think it'll be a little easier to navigate, and we won't be relying on technology very heavily. What you see on the screen right now is hopefully what you see when you log on to the main course weblog. We're using the blog as our discussion space, and it's also a way for us to link to your individual writing journals, which are happening over here in the blog roll. So as you send me a link over here on the right, I add it, and it's a way for you to read and respond to one another's individual work if you wanted to, but greater than that, it's a way for you to have a reflective writing space that I hope stretches you a little bit and leads you to think about ways that we might not just use written journals in a classroom, but we might use some other kinds of media too. So anyhow, the reason for this screencast, one, is to remind you of how this site works, and two, is to demonstrate and model for you what I would do in completing the podcasting assignment, which is your This I Believe post. If you want to use an external audio recorder, you certainly can. The easiest thing for you to do, and this is the low-tech way, is to use a website called Podomatic. Okay. Podomatic only requires that you have access to a microphone and that's plugged into your computer. It's a free site. Once you've recorded something in Podomatic, it literally will generate a link for you and you can post that right to your individual blog. Simple, simple thing. The thing I want to encourage you to think about is not to let the technology get in the way of what it is that you have to say. So over on the course blog, you'll see under a post that's called This I Believe assignment, you'll see the description of what I was asking you to do and what I'd like you to do, but also a link to the NPR series that really the assignment is modeled from. This, I believe, is a series of, I think, pretty amazing personal stories, value statements, belief statements from folks of all different walks of life and all different kinds of experiences. And what I ask you to do here is to think a little bit about what you believe as an English teacher about assessment. And if you're not an English teacher, what it is that you believe about assessment given your own role inside of a school or as an educator or in working with children, whatever makes the most sense to you. But it's a way of saying what you believe right now. And one, I like doing it as an audio recording because it allows us to hear your voice. And that's something that's often missing from a lot of the online courses in which we work. We don't get to see faces and we don't get to see voices, but this is a way to use that medium to do something a little bit different. And two, I think it's also an interesting bookmark. It's a way for us to think about where you are at the beginning of the course, and as we move through the course, these are texts that we're going to return to at different points in time, possibly for a little revision, because it might be possible that what you believe a little later in the course might shift a little, I hope, from where you are right now. So what I'd like you to do this week is pretty cleanly stated out inside of the Week 1 Tasks post that I've placed for you. It sounds like a lot. Get your individual blog set up, read the very short readings that we have for this week, capture some of your thinking about those inside of your blog. I've posted a couple discussion questions, literally just 2 of them, here on the class weblog. In order to respond to those, click on Leave a Comment. Once you've left that comment, we'll start to see discussion unfold about those articles. And these are pretty pointed and fixed and focused questions. And they're done that way for a reason. Next week, we'll start talking a little bit about what happens when you start facilitating those discussions as a group, and I'll be divvying that up and doling that out, but I wanted to make sure that our enrollment was pretty stable before we started setting up pairs and getting that part started. So respond to those questions and get your podcast up. Once you've gotten your podcast linked to your blog, feel free to listen in to the other podcasts that are listed on your peer sites inside the blog roll, and you can comment on those as well. Let's try to not get too far behind. I understand that things are shifting around a little bit, and some of you are even just adding the course today, Friday. So ultimately, let's try to be in a place around Monday where we're ready to move on to next week's work. We don't want this to linger too long, but it at least gets us started in the dialogue that this course will be about. So I look forward to seeing your podcasts and hearing from you. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions, and welcome to the course. I'm looking forward to working with you.